Blessings to everyone. So I want to start off by saying, as much as we want to see change in our world, we are really afraid of change. And oftentimes when change presents itself, we are afraid because of what it may look like, because of what it may take, because of the adjustment that it's going to require of you. And so change is not always a fun thing, but you and I, when we look out into the world, we can see that change is needed. Change needs to happen in the world that we live in, but not everybody is willing to change for the better. Not everybody is willing to be the one to be a part of the change. You know, people want a solution. People want things to be better. They want the killing to stop. They want the murder to stop. They want the politics and everything that's going on there to stop. They want the war to stop. People want things to be better in a sense, but people don't want to be a part of the change that is necessary. And the change that I'm talking about is being an interruption, not following the crowd. So you might have heard it said, you know, follow the leader and not the crowd. And so everybody wants change, but nobody is being the one to stand up and say, you know what, Lord, here I am, send me. What is it that I need to do? Who is it that I need to be? Do I need to be an interruption? So some of you are aware of the generational curses and the different things that are within your bloodline. You understand that there are things that your mom did, that her mom did, that you are now doing, or things that your father did, that your siblings are doing. And you understand that that's a cycle. You understand that that's a curse that's on the family line. And unless someone stands up and say, you know what, I'm tired of losing a loved one. I'm tired of the drug addiction and the drug abuse. I'm tired of loved ones suffering from depression and anxiety and suicide. But unless someone stands up to actually be an interruption, then nothing is going to change. It doesn't matter if you go to a therapist. It doesn't matter if you do all the research that you want on Google. Unless someone, by the power of God, decides to stand up and to confront the enemy in the gates, then what's on your family line, the curses that are on your family line, they are going to continue. The enemy is going to continue to govern what's over your family. Whatever curses, whatever things that are over your family line, it can be personality traits, it can be characteristics. You don't even know. You don't even know why you struggle with identity and insecurities. You don't even know or understand why you struggle with drug abuse, why you want to do drugs, why you feel promiscuous, why you feel like you have to give yourself, give your body, show your body to whomsoever you please in order for you to feel validated. You don't realize that that's a curse that's within your bloodline. You don't realize that that's something that's a part of you, that it no longer has to be a part of you, but you have to be willing to confront these things. And this is the problem that we're having. We want change, but we really don't want change. We don't want to be the ones to be the one having to fix things. We don't want to have to be the ones that have to confront things. We would love to let other people do it. And that this is where the whole following the crowd comes in at. We don't want to be the one to go. We don't want to be the one to have to tell people the truth and love. We don't want to be the one to have the word of God in our mouths. We don't want to be the prophet, because we know that being that individual comes at a cost. You know, it comes with persecution. It comes with opposition. It comes with adversity. It comes with, you know, you being looked down upon. It comes with you losing friends. And so a lot of times people don't want to be the one that has to tell people what it really is. You know, we want other people to do it. No, we want other people to bring change. We want other people to make a difference in the world. We don't want to be the ones to do it. We want other people to be the ones to break the curses in the family line. We want other people to be the one to you know, speak up and reveal and uncover secrets that we've held on to for so long as a family. But we don't want to be the one, because we understand the opposition. We understand that it comes at a cost, and most people are just not willing to go through that. And they want change. They want to be the ones to see a difference, yet they don't want to be the difference that they want to see. You don't want to be the change that you want to see. You rather follow the crowd. And so everybody's doing something right now. Everybody is doing something, although we are aware that the world is getting darker. We are aware that sin is getting worse. Darkness is getting worse. Killing is getting worse. People's hearts are becoming cold. I mean, they just shot up a whole school a week ago of young, innocent children. And so if that doesn't tell you anything, then maybe you are asleep. Maybe you are asleep. But you have to really get to a point where it's not enough to just say, I want change, but you have to be the change. And the only way that's going to start is with you. You can point fingers all you want. You can make suggestions all you want. You can encourage the next person. But if you're not bold enough to be that change that you want to see, then nothing's going to happen. All you are doing is just following the crowd. And we know what that's like. It's a whole bunch of people that have ideas, that have opinions, that have suggestions, but are governed by the fear due to the change that they really don't want. People want change, but they are afraid of what it's going to look like and what it's going to take. So it's just better to just go along with everybody else. And a lot of times that happens when we don't see nobody else making a change. Well, nobody else is saying anything. Nobody else is doing anything about it. So why am I going to do anything about it? Who am I? Who am I to say something? Who am I to want to break curses on my family line? Who am I to want to tell my mom, this has to stop? You know, what is it? Molestation has been going on in certain families for generations, where the uncle is doing things to the niece or to the nephew, and the dad is doing things to the daughter. Like, this stuff is happening in families. Drug abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, all of these different things are happening in certain families, and it's been happening for generations, and it's going to continue to happen as long as you pretend as though nothing is happening, nothing is wrong. You know, we've gotten to a place in life where we become numb to things, and we've learned to fake it till we make it. We've learned to just maneuver our way through life as though, you know, we don't have real problems, as though there's not curses on the family line that needs to be addressed. Nobody wants to address the fact that, you know, everyone has been touched in a family. Nobody wants to address the fact that everyone in the family has had children out of wedlock. Nobody wants to address the fact that everyone in my family, you know, they're in the drug, I don't know how you call it, but they do drug, either they do drugs or they're stripping. Nobody wants to address that. Nobody wants to confront the fact that, man, dad is an alcoholic, uncle is an alcoholic, granddad was an alcoholic, and that's normal. Nobody wants to address the fact that cancer is running in the family because that's normal, or high blood pressure. We look at these things as normal, or sickle cell. We don't look at these things as though it's a curse, because we accept it as reality. Well, this is just life. This is a part of life. But when you get to a place where you know who you are, then you're going to be the one that wants to go. You're going to be the one that wants to follow. And when I say follow, I'm talking about following the one that can give you power to break these curses. I'm talking about the one that can give you power to be the change that you want to see. I'm not talking about going and standing in front of the abortion clinic with picket signs and stuff like that. I'm not talking about that kind of change. I'm talking about change in the earth where you're confronting the enemy in the gates, because our real issue is not the physical people that you and I see. It's not the man with the gun. It's the spirit that's governing the man. And so the war is against the spirit realm. But only those that are the real sons of God, they understand it, and they can see that. And they understand that you can't use a bat and a gun to try and fight these battles. You need a spiritual weapon. And so that's the war that we're up against. That's the change that I'm talking about. Change in the earth where we're confronting the principalities of the air. We're confronting the witches and the warlock and the rulers of darkness, those that are run by the enemy, the government. Your government that you trust in, they're being governed by spirits. You don't know that? They're being governed by spirit. That's why they're able to create diseases and sicknesses that you never heard of that sound so foreign. But they're doing things because they have an agenda. The enemy has an agenda. And so unless you rise up and begin to confront what the enemy is doing, then nothing is going to change in your world. Yeah. Sin is going to run rapidly. Yeah, the enemy is going to control the young people. Why do you think that more and more young people are dying? Yeah, he has an agenda for them. He does not want them to grow up and know who they really are. He wants them to be fatherless. He wants them to be out here getting pregnant and getting women pregnant and struggling in poverty and not getting an education, not getting a diploma, dropping out of school. He wants them to be dumb. He wants them to not know who they are. He wants them to be governed by pride. He wants them to be governed by fear and racism. He wants that. You don't know that's what he's doing with the youth? I don't know if you watch enough young people out here, but I watch enough of them to see that times are changing. Oh, the enemy is doing a lot more. He's able to do a lot more than what he was allowed to do 10 years ago. When I was in the world, things were a little bit different than how they are now. The children nowadays, they don't have no respect. They don't have no respect. They're walking around with BB guns as if this is just an everyday toy. I know it because I see it. And I have to address what I see. I have to understand the war that I am up against. So many people are afraid. They are afraid to go into battle. No, I don't want no problems. You know, most of us, we don't want problems. We don't want confrontation. We don't want conflict. And so what we will do is we'll pretend as though things are good. Although we can see the problems that are in the world. We can see the nation is falling. We can see the youth, they're falling apart. You know, they're growing up without parents. They're growing up without a father. They're growing up without order and structure in their house. You know, people are out here making money. You got parents trying to make a living for their children. And so they're not as active or involved as they should be. And so guess who's raising up the children? The social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, the television, Disney, Nick, Cartoon Network, boom. Yeah, they're raising up your children. The enemy has an agenda, and guess what he's doing? When you are not around, when you are out making your money because you need to put food on the table, guess what? The enemy is injecting images into your children's mind. The enemy is communicating things into your children's ears. Yeah. That's what he's doing. He wants your children to believe, hey, you can be anything that you want to be. You can do anything that you want to do. Don't let nothing stop you. The sky is the limit. Be you. You only live once. You only have one life to live. So, hey, live your best life. Yeah, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. And so Isaiah, the Lord told Isaiah, or the Lord gave Isaiah a vision of heaven. And there was a conversation going on. And so just real quick, I want to look at Isaiah 6 just real quick as far as what happened, because the Lord began to give him a vision of Jesus Christ sitting on the throne, and he saw these angels. There were about 6, how many was it? Well, it doesn't really say the number, but it calls them the seraphims, and they had 6 wings. And let me jump down to verse 7. It says, and he laid it upon the mouth and said, lo, this has touched thy lips, and your iniquity is taken away. So Isaiah was in the midst of these godly creatures, and he was saying, you know what? Like, I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of people that are unclean. They're wicked. And so they put this coal on his mouth to sanctify him. But then this is what happens. Also, I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Yeah, the Lord is wanting to do things in the earth. You don't know that? You don't know that even God wants change in the earth? You don't know that? And you may say, well, why doesn't God just bring change? Why doesn't God just take away the murderers and the rapists and the thieves and the robbers? Why doesn't God just take away the killing and the pain and the sickness and the suffering? Why doesn't he do it? He has the power to. Well, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. God chooses to do things the way he wants to do it. And a lot of times it does require our participation. God likes to work with man. God desires to get things done, but he desires to get it done through his creation. So the Lord says, whom shall we send? Because there's something that needs to get done in the earth. The earth cannot remain like this. Who is willing? Who is bold enough? Who has the courage to say, you know what, Lord, I will go. Lord, I will confront the spirits, the curses that are on my family line. Lord, I see it. They're visible. I'm aware. I don't like it. I don't want my seeds or my children to have to deal with it. I don't want my children to experience what I went through. Lord, I want to see change. Lord, I want these things broken. My family didn't attend church, or maybe they did, but they wasn't real believers. I saw my parents go to church, but they came home and they smoked, or they came home and they watched ungodly TV shows, or they were worldly. And so, Lord, I want to see real change. Show me what that looks like. Okay, well, you've come to the right place. Who's willing to go? Isaiah says this here. He says, then said I, here I am, send me. And he said, go and tell this people, hear you indeed, but understand not, and see you indeed, but perceive not. Make the hearts of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears and understand with their hearts and be converted and be healed. So God already knows that people don't want real change. Let me tell you something. People want change in the world, but they don't want it to get in the way of how they want to live life. Yeah, people, like I said, people want change. We want more money for the economy. We want to stop poverty and help those that are in Africa and build wells and stuff like that. We want to see that kind of change. We want the black on black crime to stop. We want murder on the black people to stop. We want racism to stop. We want more jobs. We want gas prices to go down. We want things. We want things. We want better streets and more things for the black community. People want change, but it's not the change that God is wanting to do in the earth. That change looks different. That change looks like confronting the idols of your heart. The change of the world. People want better street lights. They want to help those in Africa. They want to give to this charity. They want to help the kids with cancer. They want to help that patient. They want to help the gays. Pride Month's coming up. They want that kind of change. But the change that God is wanting to bring is confronting the idols of your heart. He wants to confront the idolatry here. He wants to confront the fact that you are a man and you like men. He wants to confront the fact that within your bloodline, there's perversion. He wants to confront the fact that in your bloodline, there's drunkenness. He wants to confront the fact that in your bloodline, there's unbelief, there's doubt. There's pedophilia there. There's a promiscuous spirit there. There's idolatry there. There's confusion and there's a little witchcraft there. He wants to confront that. He wants that type of change to be brought forth, but people don't want that kind of change. Why? Because it's going to provoke them to have to change their ways and let go of their idols. People, like I said, the world, they want change. Everybody want to follow the crowd. That nobody wants to be the one to go. Nobody wants to be the one to say, I'm going to confront the enemy in the gates. Lord, if you go with me, I don't mind confronting these giants. Lord, if you go with me, then I won't be afraid of men in their faces. My family may hate me. The people may hate me, but all I know that God is with me. Like I said, people won't stand up for righteousness' sakes because they are afraid of what it comes with. People don't want to lose family members. People don't want to be persecuted. People don't want the opposition. They don't want no problems with the enemy. They don't want no problems with the witches and the warlock and the people that practice voodoo. They don't want no problems. And so we will live our lives as though everything is okay and we'll let some other knucklehead do it. Yeah. People are completely fine with generational curses being active on their family line. They are okay. They've accepted the fact that my grandmother had a child out of wedlock. My mom had me out of wedlock. I'm having kids out of wedlock. And possibly my daughter may too. And that's okay because that's life. That's why people are aware at the fact that incest has been going on in their family line. People are okay with the fact that they've been molested and possibly their children. And you know what? That's life. You don't realize that those are unclean spirits that are governing your family line. You don't realize that the enemy is trying to rob you of your identity. And the fact that he robbed you of yours, he wants to do the same thing to your children. He wants your children to not know who they are. He wants your children to know, hey, you are black and you gotta love you and you have to love your kind because they're not gonna love you. You gotta survive out here in this world. He knows that your mind is messed up. He knows that there's the spirit of poverty on your family line. And so you have to teach your children how to think a certain way, not realizing that that's a curse that needs to be broken. He don't want you to be aware of that type of change. But God is trying to bring that change through his sons. God is trying to raise up a people that are not going to follow the crowd, but that's going to be a follower and lead people. That's why Jesus made disciples, so that they can make disciples and so that they can make disciples and so on. That's the whole purpose of this all, preaching the word of God and confronting the enemy in the gates. This is not for me to follow the crowd, but this is for me to make a crowd to follow after Jesus. This is what we are called to do. No, I can't be okay with everything that's happening in the world. Many of you see what's happening in the world and you just shake your head and you go about your business. But you're not trying to do anything about it. And I'm not talking about you going down to the NAACP. I'm not talking about you going down there and casting a vote or, having an opinion or a suggestion. I'm talking about real change through the power of God. No, you need spiritual weapons. We're living in a world where there's warfare going on. Jesus says that the kingdom of heaven suffers violence and the violent take it by force. Why is that happening? Well, you have some sons of God. They already know what their assignment is. They already know what's happening out here. No, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against spiritual wickedness in high places, against rulers of darkness in the air. You don't even know. You don't even know that your government is governed by an unclean spirit. You don't even know that they're releasing witchcraft in the air. You wonder why you're getting sick. You don't notice the chemtrails in the sky. You don't know that those little white lines in the sky that just magically appear. You don't know that your government is poisoning you. You don't know that those things that are released, those chemicals, that does something to your mind, that alters your mind, that makes you feel away. You don't realize that. You don't see what's going on. You don't see that the enemy is running the planet. He's coming to steal, kill, and destroy. You don't see that he's governing your family line. You're in and out of relationships. You've been divorced 3 times. Your mom's been divorced three times. You don't see anything wrong with that. That doesn't ring a bell. That doesn't make you want to rise up and fight back. Meaning if you want to fight, you want to break through, you want to get out, but you're fighting the wrong battle. Your parents are not the problem. Your grandparents are not the problem. Your baby daddy, your husband, your wife, your baby mama, they are not the problem. I'm going to tell you who the problem is. The problem is the enemy in the inner you. You have to fight against your thoughts. You have to fight against your flesh. I know it's in you to be like your mom, but you have to say, you know, I am a child of God. I will not be like my mother. I will not be like my father. But the only way that you are going to prove that to be right is if you do something about it. And that looks like you confronting the curses that are on your family line. I know it's hard to confront the dark stuff that happened to you as a child. I know it's hard to confront what happened to you. You were raped, you were molested, you were touched inappropriately, you were verbally abused and physically abused. I know it's hard, but you got to do it if you want to be free. You got to do it if you want to see change. You got to do it. If you don't want to see your kids go through what you went through, you got to be willing to break some stuff. You got to be willing to confront the principalities, the powers that are in the air, that are controlling and governing your atmosphere, your neighborhood, your environment. Yeah. You want to be able to see people get out of human trafficking, then you got to do something about it. You want to see the strippers come out of the strip club and be delivered and free, then you got to do something about it. You have to do something about it. You want to stop seeing kids being taken and killed and their organs and stuff being sold, then you have to do something about it. And like I said, you cannot go down to the NAACP. You have to confront this stuff in prayer. You have to confront the spirits that are governing your city. You got poverty governing your city, most of you. You got perversion. You got racism. You got anger. You got pride. You know, you don't even realize that there are things governing your city. Some of you live in cities where all you hear is sirens. I came from a city like that. There was not a day where there was not a siren going off. And if a siren wasn't going off, something was wrong. Because I lived in a place governed by the spirit of murder. Some of you don't know that you live in a place governed by the spirit of murder. You wonder why somebody's always dying. Man, so-and-so just got shot. Or so-and-so just got hit by a car or by a train. Yeah, the spirit of murder, the strong man that is governing this region is the spirit of murder. Or the spirit of lust. Somebody's always getting raped. Someone is always getting pregnant. Something is always happening. Someone is always getting kidnapped. They vanished without a trace. Okay, that don't sound weird to you? Yeah, there's a strong man governing a region. And if you don't do anything about it, if you are the one that's going to say, well, I'll leave it to someone else to do it, then you are a part of the problem. And that makes you a part of the crowd. And guess what? When judgment falls, you're going to be a part of that too, because you decided to not do anything. And so we can see a problem, we can shake our head and be like, man, that's messed up. Like those children that died last week, man, that was messed up. But yeah, this is the world that we are living in. And your government is being run by an unclean spirit, and he's going to make you believe that he's going to do something about it. He's not going to do anything. Yeah, you want to take away gun laws, but guess what? Guess what? People are going to stand up for the change that they want to see. But they don't want real change. They don't want to confront the unclean spirits that are governing people like that individual that shot up that school. Yeah, you don't know that that individual was governed by an unclean spirit? You don't know that the enemy was injecting thoughts into his mind and telling him, yeah, you can do this. You are okay. I don't know what he believed. He believed something, but this is what I'm talking about. These things like this that are happening in our world, and we want to do nothing about it, but just shake our head. But for the sons of God, no, we already know why we read our word. We already know why we seek the Lord, why we gather, why we pray. No, we are in a war, and there's change that we want in the earth. Real change, not making the grass greener, cleaning up the lawn, Earth Day, going green. I'm not talking about that kind of change. I'm talking about change of removing the unclean spirits, removing the principalities of the air, pushing back the forces of darkness. Yeah, confronting the witchcraft, because there's witchcraft that is going on that you don't know. You may not be aware of it. You don't know why certain things happen in your family life. You don't know why when you leave work and you go home and you're left to yourself, you have thoughts of killing yourself, or you don't know how to control your thoughts. Your thoughts are everywhere. You start reminiscing about what happened in the past. You don't know why. Yeah, the enemy is on an assignment. He's at work. You don't know that. You don't know that you have an assignment in the earth as well. You don't know who you are. Okay, maybe your parents didn't grow up in church, or maybe they went to church and they were inconsistent. Okay, that cannot cause your relationship with the Lord to be blurred. That cannot cause your relationship with the Lord to be messed up. You have to rise up and go forth. Like Isaiah said, here I am, send me. Not everybody is willing to go, but I have to be the one that's willing to go. Even if I'm going to get persecuted, even if my family is going to hate me for it and shame me for it and discourage me, even if they're going to call me names, I cannot care, because there's a work that has to be done in the earth. There is change that the Lord is trying to bring forth, and I want to be a part of that change, because whether we like it or not, change is going to happen. For the better or for the worse, it's happening. You and I already know. We can look at 2022 compared to 2020. There's been a lot of change. We're still wearing masks. You don't see that change. You don't see the war that's going on. You don't see the distractions that they're injecting in your mind when you watch the news, when you turn on the news. You don't see that's there to instill fear in you and confusion in you, and to draw you away from your real assignment, and that's to confront the powers of the air. That is to break curses. That is to break chains and break cycles. Some of you want to be free from your bloodline. You want to be free from what's on your family line, and you see it. And you know what happens a lot of times. The curses that are on your family line, they will manifest into sicknesses. That's why you have things like sickle cell. That's why you have things like lung cancer and breast cancer and, all other pancreas cancer. You have things like high blood pressure and diabetes. You have all types of things. Yeah, those are curses on your family line. And they've been there for years, because no one in your family decided to rise up to be the one. Everybody in your family decided to follow the crowd. But are you going to be the one that stands? Are you going to be the one to make a real change? I'm not, like I said, I have to keep reiterating this, because people are going to be like, yes, girl, that's what I'm talking about. Make a change for the Black community. Make a change. Go green, Earth Day, Pride Month. Make a change for the abortions, those that are being aborted. Make a change. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that, because people want that kind of change. They want that kind of change, but they don't want to confront the stuff that are in their family line. They don't want to confront the perversion and the fact that everybody turned out to be a stripper. That's normal. Everybody has 5 boyfriends. Nobody in the family, all of the women in the family, nobody's married, but everybody has like more than 2 kids. That's the change I'm talking about. Wanting to see that stuff broken. Wanting to be set free. No, I want to be set free from my bloodline. I don't want to struggle with perversion and fornication. I don't want to struggle with having to be divorced. I don't want to struggle with my kids having to, be touched by a family member, because I went through that. I don't want that for them. Okay, well, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Because unless you do something about it, then things are going to stay the same in your world. Those curses that are on your family line, guess what? They're going to go to your children, and they're going to be worse. Yeah, you got people right now, the spirit of death is on their family. They keep losing people. I know people like that. Every year they lose people. You don't see that's the spirit of death. You don't see that could be confronted. You don't have to allow these spirits to control your life or your family. You can break those. You can break the change. You can break the shackles. You can be free. You don't have to be governed. You don't have to accept it, because your mom accepted it. Your dad accepted it. Your grandma accepted it. Your grandpa, your aunt, your uncle, they accepted it, and they're fine. No, your parents, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, they are bitter and they are in bondage. That's why they're in their 50s, in their 60s, and they're still governed by pornography. They're still governed by lust. They're in and out of relationships in their 50s and 60s. They're still dealing with things of their past. Yeah. Nobody decided to rise up and stand up, but you got to be the one. That's my encouragement. You have to be the one. Isaiah said, here I am, Lord, send me. Send me. Where is he going? He's going to confront some things in the earth. God sees the problems. God sees everything. Even God wants change. God sees, he just needs someone that's willing. And if these don't do it, then the rocks are going to do it. Oh, he's going to find someone. The work is going to get done. God's will is going to get done in the earth. It doesn't matter what the enemy's doing. He has his own assignment, but guess what? His time is short. The enemy's time is short. And God is on the time too. And he has things that it needs to get done in the earth. And so either you're going to be a part of that work or you're going to be outside of that work. You're going to be a part of the problem or you're going to be a part of the solution.